So far, we've looked at arrays in our little collections, and the next thing we're going to look at are sets. Now, if you recall, in arrays, we store things in an ordered value. So we add something, it's at index 0, we add another thing, it's at index 1, etc. Sets are different to arrays. Sets actually store distinct values, all of the same type, within a collection. By distinct, I mean you cannot have the same item twice. So if you had a set of integers, you could not have the number 2 in 2 entries. Whereas with arrays, you can have it as many times as you like. Sets also do not order your items. So you cannot say, I want the item at place 0 in my set, because that simply doesn't work. It's not what they're designed for. So if I give you an example, if we have music types and we want to store them in a set, but we wanted to make sure we never repeated one of the music types twice, we'd have something like this: rock, jazz, classical, hip hop. If we tried to add hip hop to this set again, it wouldn't show up, it wouldn't be added, and we'd be left just with the single value of hip hop. That way we can ensure that something never gets repeated. And that is pretty useful when we come down to more complex programming. It helps get rid of a lot of the filtering and the checking that we need to do and makes your programs run much more slickly. Okay, so let's create a couple sets by opening up a playground and following along. Right, let's create a set of letters. Var letters is equal to what? Well, as you might guess, our type is of set. But we have a set, it doesn't know what it's going to store. So the way we tell it is by opening up this triangular bracket and telling it we're going to store some strings. And then, of course, we have to initialize it. So open and close your brackets. And now we have an empty set. Now, unlike an array, we don't append anything, because append means we add it to the end. And because a set has no order, there is no end. Instead, we're going to get letters, dot, and we are going to insert the letter A. Now, just before we go on, this is a fantastic thing that Swift has done, and all the guys developing Swift have created. They've made it very language-based as a programming language, which sounds a bit more idiotic, but what I mean is everything means what it does. So insert means it's just putting it in there. There is no order attached to that. If you had append, like you do with arrays, that means add it to the end. So the guys at Swift are very hot on having the correct language for what you're doing, and it helps avoid a lot of errors. Right, let's move on with our sets. We can initialize sets just like we can with any other kind of variable. So let's have var faves or favorites, and we can tell it this is a set of strings. And then we can, of course, create that set, and we can have our pizza, our wine, and of course our pasta. Right, so Swift knows that this is a string or a set of strings because we have told it. But we could actually also remove this string, and Swift knows we've specified strings. It knows we've said set, so we can do that. Be warned though, if you remove set, Swift is going to turn this into an array. And notice here, we have a square bracket. Whereas, if we keep that set in, we will have curly braces. That's an important thing to remember. Now, sets can, of course, use a lot of methods. So if I get my faves and I just put a dot, it tells me what I can get out of it. I can have the capacity of it. Don't worry about that for now. I can count. I can find a member with contains. So quite similar to arrays, really, just with that key difference of no repeats and no order. So just to demonstrate the no order, if I get my faves and I add pizza to it twice, well, what do you think is going to happen here? If I inspect it, I only have 3 elements. And that's because pizza simply gets removed if it's repeated. So you've got to be careful with that. Whereas if it's an array and we explore that, we have 4 elements in total. And I'm just scrolling up and down with the mouse wheel because you can do that. Okay, so let's undo that and just get our set. So obviously someone has eaten my second pizza, which is probably good for my diet when we have a set. Right, let's move on to the next one. Congratulations! You made it to the end of this video, which puts you in the top 10% of my viewers. For each one of you, there are 9 others who didn't make it this far. That perseverance you've shown means that you're much more likely to succeed as a developer. Now, to help you on your way, I want to give you the next part of my iOS course completely free. No trials, no credit cards, instant access. Simply click the link below the video to ensure that you don't miss out.